my name is Anna and I am the owner of Savvy Cat Realty. Today I am here to talk to you about Faro, the capital of our beautiful sunny Algarve. So for those of you who don't know, Savvy Cat Realty is a relocation and investment agency that helps expats move to and settle in Portugal. We work with both rentals and purchases, and our goal is to provide as much transparency and information to the buyer so they can make economically and culturally viable purchases that support both the local economy and help the locals by not inflating the prices. If this makes sense to you, do check out our services in www.savvycatrealty.com. We always aim and work from a buyer perspective, making sure they are as protected and informed as possible. So going back to today's topic, the Algarve and the beautiful capital Faro. Faro was actually a not very popular location of the Algarve when it came to mainstream tourism, because unlike the eastern side of the Algarve, this western Faro area is located in lagoon kind of area, which is a swampy reserve area with a number of islands around, so it doesn't have the typical cliffside landscape of the Algarve that made it one of the most popular tourism and retirement destinations in Portugal. On the other hand, and in Europe to be honest, on the other hand, being the capital of the region, it also was one of the cities with the most year-round life. If you don't know, the Algarve, being an extremely popular touristic destination, has an extreme seasonality that makes it a very different place on the winter time and summertime. And although the Algarve is known for its amazing climate, where you have 300 days of sun per year, mild winters and hot summers with amazing beach landscapes, it also is a lot more popular in the winter, and is actually a fact that a big majority of commerce and even hotels are closed from October on. So there is an extreme seasonality in the Algarve, and in the most popular touristic cities like Lagos and Monte Gordo and Vila Moura, you will feel like the city is a bit desertic on the winter time. And in Faro, that doesn't happen as much because being the capital, it has a lot more year-round life. It has universities and student life and all kinds of services that are not related, or there are, of course, also a lot of things related to tourism, but there is a lot of different industries, some different industries in Faro too, which made it a much more livelier city all year round. And it was actually not that popular touristic-wise until recently. And the truth is, in the past 5 years, probably because of the airport too, but Faro has grown in popularity drastically. And that, of course, also affected the prices. So you can see that the prices of property in Faro in the past 5 years almost doubled. They went from a range of 2,000, 2,500 euros, sometimes even a bit lower than that even, to now close to 3,000 to 4,000 euros per square meter, and often, sometimes even more. And the truth is, although this reserve area, Ria Formosa, is not the typical cliffside location with the more touristic appeal, it also has its own appeal when it comes to tourism. Being a reserve area, it has a number of species, especially great for bird watching, and it also has a lot of protection, biodiversity protection programs, inclusively for seahorses. It's one of the only locations in Portugal where you have a seahorse support program. So it became popular in a different type of tourism. And it also is a location where you find a marina. There are other well-known marinas around the Algarve, of course, being a beachside and an oceanside touristic destination. But the marina in Faro has also been popularly used even 10 years ago. One of the most, the fancier hotel in Faro used to be the Marina Hotel. Now you have other hotels, and you even have a 5-star hotel that only opened, I believe, 3 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. And the downtown of Faro also went down a lot of renovation. A lot of new hotels popped up and new businesses and restaurants and bars and all that kind of things. So it became a much more popular touristic city. And it also became a lot more attractive because a lot of it was quite run down if you visited it 10 years ago. Although I didn't exactly often go to Faro, my family has a house in the islands, the Faro Island in this case. So we went by Faro every year when we went down. And Faro was not a very popular location at all. I mean, we even went from Olhão because not only was it easier to park, the tides don't affect that area as much. So if you take a boat to the islands from Faro, it's more at risk of being stuck if there is low tide than in Olhão. So we always went from Olhão because of that, but we always had to go through by Faro. So I did see the drastic evolution that this city went through in the past 10 years, and especially in the past 5 years. And as you can see in the graphics, the rise in price is very steep. So Faro, it was definitely a location that was up and coming from investment. And I still think it is a good option from investment because it's very likely that the prices will keep rising. I mean, locations like Vila Moura, Lagos, and Albufeira, prices in these areas are basically on par with Lisbon and sometimes even higher. So it's very likely that Faro will keep rising in prices, making it still a good location for investment. And if you are willing to do stuff like renovations, it's still possible to find some good deals, although, of course, not unicorns anymore. An interesting phenomena in Faro and in the Algarve is that the prices of food and restaurants are much higher than anywhere else in Portugal because of tourism. And the last time I went by Faro was at the end of my EN2 trip. If you follow this channel, there was a number of videos that I made about the EN2 trip, which is a road that goes from top of bottom of Portugal. It starts in the north in Chaves and ends in Faro. And in the rest of the locations throughout this road, because they are not extremely touristic locations, the EN2 trip and the EN2 activities get a lot of publicity, so to say. However, when you get to Faro, you basically don't see anything about the EN2. You literally have to go looking for it, because that's not the most popular touristic thing in Faro, or far from it. I mean, it's the Algarve. So that's an interesting thing too. And going back to the food and to the EN2 experience, Faro is definitely the most expensive city on the EN2 route. Like I said, the rest of the route is in the more interior of Portugal and less touristically popular locations. And so the price difference on everything to Faro is very drastic. And we definitely felt that a lot. And actually, we decided to go and eat seafood because, of course, the Algarve, the best thing you can eat is seafood. You have marisco and the seashells and clams and so on. Because you don't actually have the names for the things we have in our seafood. I actually don't even know how to translate. Like, one of my favorite things to get in the Algarve is conquilhas, and I don't even know how that translates. I don't even know if you have a translation for that. And there's also navalhas or lavaganto, which is like the long sword-like clamfish. Clams? Yeah? And there's, of course, the oysters, then shrimps. So there's a lot of very, very good food that you can get in the Algarve, and of course, very fresh fish. And because the prices got so inflated in Faro, as locals and as cheap locals that we are, me and my mom decided to go and have food in Olhão, which, curiously, I was checking price-wise, is not that different when it comes to property pricing. It's just about $500 per square meter cheaper than Faro. And by the way, Olhão is just about 30 minutes drive from Faro, so they are quite close to each other. And Olhão is known to have the fish market there. And it's our favorite food to go, place to get and go and get seafood. So we went there to have our seafood, and it was definitely a lot more affordable than it would have been if we have stayed in Faro. And we paid around 45 euros for the two of us to have a few tapas of seafood. So I think that in Faro, the same thing would cost closer to like 55, 60. So yeah, there are these little things that are different, but when it comes to the city itself, Faro is definitely a lot more charming. And you also have a big cultural side to it. Like, you have the Sede Faro, which is a monument to the wealth of the church, and absolutely amazing artistically on the inside. And there is a number of religious buildings that you can find in this area because it was a center hundreds of years back due to the fact that naval transport was a lot more common. Faro was actually a big religious center in Portugal hundreds of years back. So you have these amazing buildings and tile work and, just like I said, the opulence of the church. And then you have these typical cobblestones and walking streets of Portugal with all the street shops and restaurants and the esplanadas. So it's a very charming and nice city. And I would definitely say that it's a very nice location to live in the Algarve because, like I said, you have much more of a year-round life. And the prices, although they rose drastically, are still not as inflated as some of the other very popular Algarve destinations. And you can get a much more cultural life that can be paired with the beach side. Like I said, in this area you have the Ria Formosa Reserve, but you can just take a boat to the islands, where you have some of the most amazing beaches. I am biased, but I definitely recommend the Faro Island. It's definitely one of my favorite places to go for a beach in the Algarve. And you are really close and you have the airport nearby, so it has good connections. And you're also not too far from the highway to go up to Lisbon and so far. So it's a really, really good location when it comes to having a bit of everything. So if you are looking for something like this, you know, a bit of all year round life with amazing seafood, amazing landscapes, access to beautiful islands, and not too inflated prices in the Algarve, where you get 300 sunny days per year with mild winters and hot summers, Faro may be the place for you. So if that's the case, feel free to reach out to us at contact@savvycatrealty.com, or just check our website for our services in www.savvycatrealty.com. If you've been to Faro, I would love to hear your opinion about it. And I'm always happy to hear suggestions for future videos or content you would like to see. And I hope that today's video about Faro was useful. And I will see you all next week as we release weekly videos here on our YouTube channel. Please do subscribe if you enjoy this content. And I'll see you all next week.